Hey everybody, hey everybody. This is me, your host, Calvin Logan with the Logan Power Show, nationwide, worldwide. Well, I know that this is a time where we got to figure out who's with us, who's against us. I got with me a lady who is an activist for social injustice, but she's decided today to talk about why she's running for the school board here in the Low Country as well, and talk about her nonprofit. She fights not just for the people that look like us African American, we fight those that are going through a lot of social injustice and change. So without further ado, I'm honored to have Miss Erica Cokley here in the Logan Power Show. How you doing, ma'am?
I'm doing great, Logan. Good afternoon. Thank you very much for having me. I'm honored, like real life honored. So I appreciate the being noticed. Thank
Yes,
you.
yes, ma'am. Now I know that 2020 has thrown a lot of curveballs. I know that last year, well, about a couple years, let's go back 2018. You've been really an activist, boots on the ground for what's going on, focusing really what's on the Low Country here, not just in Charleston, Somerville. You've been all over the place, and then all of a sudden, you said that you're gonna make a decision to run for the school board. So tell people what school board district that you're going for, and tell people why now. What is the reason behind that passion?
Well, it's the I am running for the Consolidated School Board, West Ashley, District 10, which covers all of West Ashley. Um, I'm running for the school board right now because of, and like you said, my boots have been on the ground for quite some time. And I think the first thing that I actually stepped out into was the fight for 15, where we were trying to get minimum wage pushed up to $15, and have union rights to be able to, for people to have a better quality of life at least. And of course, I was working at McDonald's then. Few of the things that I've always done, I probably work in two jobs, but the outlook on that was people was looking at it, well, we're not going to pay people $15 just to, cook burgers. Other than that, having my children in school and realizing some of the things that they were going through in school, I've always been actively involved as far as the Student Improvement Council, PTA, and going to school board meetings and trying to get other parents to be involved, and always volunteered. I just always volunteered being the face of my children at school. So when you have three different children on three different levels, and then each one teaches you something, having a boy and having a girl, not originally being from Charleston, once I moved in, it's like I saw some of the things already that were different amongst as far as the neighborhood schools, and the children and the families, and just the culture itself. Not that a culture shock, not that I'm completely different, but I paid attention to things that were different. So I just always stayed involved. So after being involved with my children, Fight for 15 campaign, working almost seemingly always to try to make ends meet for my kids, and still being on the front lines of just society and looking at what things were going on, realizing it's like, how important it was to vote. How could I get my children to be able to do that? Some of the things that I've been through, I've always wanted to be able to help people. So after 2020 came in, COVID, just many things that have happened along the way, especially with with the accelerated schools, when the schools started closing the schools last year, I really started paying attention to things. And 2020 just threw the whole book at you. I knew 2020 was going to be different, but I wasn't exactly sure how. So after everything, especially with the murdering of George Floyd, we've been out there just really advocating. So then my advocating went from minimum wage, then it went from things that parents need to be at school, accountability. And then it went for, look, we need to have more parents and people that look like us in the schools, not just at the meetings, but also on the board. So I tried to figure out a way, how could I get parents to be able to do that? We can't do what we used to do. We can't tell our children, go run for president. We can't tell our children to go do your homework if we're not doing our homework ourselves.
Mhm.
So that's what it is. Like, seriously, just how can I teach other people to lead if I'm not leading myself? So I just decided to just run for school board. So get my seat to the table, find out what's going on, and start holding other people accountable to do the same thing. So this is my push.
Absolutely, and this push is very, very big. And, people will say, well, Calvin, why is the push so big? Well, the district that she's in, West Ashley, that is a very good school district area. It has a lot of power behind it. What I mean by that is, um, people control what things go down. In West Ashley, we talk about schools, St. Andrews Math and Science, West Ashley High School, just a couple schools there that just saying that there. I'm just letting you know there's a lot of power behind it, because due to the fact is a quality education is hard to actually say we can make a difference with a quality education. And I want people who are watching us to understand the importance of a quality education. And you are going into a district where the majority is not us. We are considered the minority. And you're trying to sort of change that perception and perspective. Um, the biggest, always, people are going to always say this all the time when it comes to school board people. They say, well, how do you consider yourself qualified to be on the school board? So, for a question I know people are always going to ask, what makes you qualified to be able to speak to education? Can you tell people what you have done, or what makes it qualified that people should vote for you?
Well, first of all, I have children that have been educated through the school systems. Um, I just looked at a press conference yesterday, and I can't remember the guy's name, but I'm listening to him, and he's been in education for 25 years, over 25 years. He was a principal, never a teacher, but he outright said that he couldn't teach people how to read because he wasn't trained to teach people how to read. Now, to me, that's shocking, because if you have children, your children, you're the first teacher. So we teach our children how to read. So if you felt like you couldn't teach not one person how to read, and you've been in education for over 25 years, I don't think he's qualified. So what qualifies me is the fact that I've not only lived through public education system, but I've seen and I've raised children through the education system enough to have the qualifications enough to know to, not that I know enough, but I'm willing to learn enough to make it count more than what it's counting right now, if that makes sense.
Makes
Like,
sense.
they're not, we have to be a parent, you have to have children, you have to know what's going on from the inside and not be able to just look at it from a business standpoint. And right now, that's basically what they've done with our children. They've turned it into a business. They're putting money there, but the money isn't being adequately allocated where it's necessarily needed. So when we work on the smaller things, the bigger problems will never come into play. So if they're worried about me being qualified, that's a small problem, because me being qualified, going on the job makes me qualified. Stepping out here makes me qualified. Having children and being able to speak on what I see that's different and what needs to be changed, that makes me qualified.
Absolutely. And that's why I want you to answer that question for me perfect like you did. And that's what people got to understand. It's not always, see, people say education, like I got a degree from Harvard, I got a degree from here. That is not always the qualification for the job that you're going for. That's just saying maybe a made up requirement, but that's technically not the real issue. Uh, to
Thank
be
you.
to be honest with you, let's give an example. To be president of the United States, you do not have to be politically sound. You don't have to have a degree from college. You just got
Thank
to
you.
be. That's
And that's what we've seen. So I'm gonna be honest. Since you brought that up, that's what I'm like. All you have to do is have common sense, have the voice of the people, like want really right and wrong, and be able to understand what it is that they're putting before you. That's what makes you qualified. I mean, it's like it doesn't take a genius, and even some of the most qualified people are in the most unqualified positions, which is why our children are still being railroaded, and they're in the positions that they're in, because you have people that are in power that are being paid to be qualified, that are not teaching our children to be qualified once they come on the outside.
absolutely, absolutely. And you mentioned about allocated funds. Where should some of these funds should be going? I know you got a lot of you got a lot of ideas, but can you lay out some ideas of where, if you were put into that position, where should some of these funds be going to?
First of all, I would start with it's all about empowerment through education. So special education, number one, falls on my list because I have a child that has autism. So special education, and I do think special education should be on the forefront because right now it's always on the last end of everything that we're being talking about, first of all. So when we work with the smaller issues, our public schools versus the private schools versus the chartered schools, the resources have to be there for these children. And right now, I think the biggest thing is between social and emotional education amongst our teachers, our parents, and everybody that's involved.
Mm.
We can keep spending money on books. We can keep spending money on computers. We can keep spending money on internet access. But until these children, until we get to the root of the problem of why they're not learning, which is that social and emotional aspect, they're never going to get what we're really trying to get them to receive.
Absolutely. And for those who are listening to me right now, the she's definitely right. There is a difference, and what I mean by that is it comes in two forms. And what I'm talking about is the private sector. They are funded, you know, private entities, business companies, or parents, or whoever it is. But the problem that we have is some of the private sector money is used with some public money is mixed into that. Some state money is moving to the private sector. If you find out who owns this or who owns these things, you'll see that there. Second thing we talk about, oh, Calvin, let's all go charter school. Well, charter school is the only thing difference between charter school and a public school is that a charter school is with public funds too. So it's a catch 22 because remember when you start a charter school, you gotta get enough signatures to say you're gonna start the charter school. Once you get started, you start growing, you start getting bigger. Once you get to max capacity, then you go into a waiting list and you get to choose who you bring into the fold. So that means if family A, family B both live in the same place, because I'm a charter school, I can choose family A over family B, and they both live in the same vicinity. That's the difference in a charter school. A public school means I got to take on whoever lives in the area.
Area. Yeah. And
So,
that's why I'm bothered by that. I feel like public schools are detrimental because we already know who the majority is, and we already know who utilizes those public schools. So that's where all the funding should go. Most of the funding, basically, to the public schools. The neighborhood schools should have never gone into failing. And I tell people there should be no such thing as failing schools because there are no such thing as children who cannot learn. And all we have to do is change the atmosphere and change the environment. And if we can't change we can't change what it is that they're learning, then we have to change how we're teaching them in order for them to learn. And that's what's happening right now. We have to change how we're teaching our children in order for them to learn.
absolutely. Now, you also have a nonprofit organization too, as well. Let's talk about that too.
My nonprofit, Voices United, it's a mixture of things. Me growing up, there are a mixture of things that I've actually dealt with, and I call them obstacles because all they done was allow me to overcome and become who I am. And sometimes you have to be your story and tell your story in order to, help someone else. And that's what I started to do. So Voices, I always had an acronym for that when I was growing up. I always felt like that everyone had the right to respectfully um, everyone had the right to voice our input concerning everything. So voice and then united. That's where the collaboration and partnership come from. Once I moved to Charleston, the different things that I've been through have been, sexual abuse, child abuse. My mother wasn't there when I was growing up. My father was physically there, but not emotionally. He was just that worker and just made sure you get food and got clothes and that's it. And so not the nurturer. And so I lost my only brother to gun violence. It's been 6 years, 2014. So I lost a baby in 2006, full born, 2 weeks before I was 38 weeks. So it was a lot. And at some point in my life, even having children, it was almost like, why? Like, when is enough going to be enough? Like, I can't believe half the things that I've been through, and like, why am I still here? And I think this is the first time I've said anything to anybody about all of those things. But when you write down all of that stuff, sometimes you think of one person or another just dealing with one of those things. But to find somebody who's dealt with all of those things, that's where the united part came from. So for me, helping and volunteering since I've been in Charleston, you know, uh, Sharika Myers, Everyone Has a Voice, Everyone Voice Matters, Uplift Charleston, um, just people that I found myself being with on the front lines and seeing that the ultimate end game was all about our children. It wasn't a Black thing, it wasn't a white thing, because the things that I've been through, it wasn't all about that. And then this happened. So a year ago, I told myself I needed to get my nonprofit up and going. I didn't know what it was going to be that was going to make it happen, but I knew. So then 2020, I saw a lot of Black females coming out running for, positions. I got like a lot of Black men running for positions, Kobe, just everything. Then George Floyd. So how can I bring us all together under one umbrella? And ultimately, that's what I really like to do. Even mental health, because I inboxed you about something the other day, and I said I inboxed Rajon about that same thing. And that's what it's about, that collaboration and that partnership on how we can empower each other about the things that have been damaging the Black communities, the unspoken things that have been going on in the communities that are causing us to continuously raise these generations of broken children. That's what's happening. That's what's happening. So
Mm,
how can I fix that? And that's Voices United.
mm.
Our voices, we unite, we empower, we collaborate. And not only do we sit and continue to point out the problems and stop looking at them like problems, because when we look at them like problems, we're going to continuously treat them like problems. But right now, we need to treat them like obstacles. And now we look for tangible solutions. And we do that collectively.
Mm, amen. Amen. And that's what you have to do. We have to work together. It's going to take a village. I heard this one um, statement. It's kind of shocking. Person said African Americans, Latinos, Native Americans, and Asians, it takes a village. Caucasians, it doesn't, because they don't have a
Well,
village.
I've been saying for a long time, we need to build our village back. We need to reclaim our village. And that's what it is. Right now, we need to reclaim our youth. We
Mm,
don't need to control them. You control animals. And that's what I've been saying. We don't control them. We need to reclaim them. We
mm,
need to let them know how important they are, because I was that child. And I needed to know that I had options, that I had a meaning, that I had a reason, that there was hope for us. And Whitney Houston's song, I believe the children are our future. And I tell people, we were the future. Our children are the right now. So that's why I can't sit quiet anymore. And that's why I won't be quiet. And I don't care how much it takes. But I can't rest until I know that I've done something to make sure that my children and that my brother's children that he's left have some sense of, of something that's going to, like, something that's going to be tangible and something that's going to be real, and that it's going to be okay.
amen. Amen. And that's what we want to do. We want to make a difference. And Miss Eric Cokley is very passionate. She's she's an activist that really gets, like, if you see a lot of things that goes on, you're gonna see her in the building. I promise to God she'll be there.
And
And
I tell people, I'm sorry. I said, if I come off a little strong sometimes and a little harsh, that just means I'm that much more passionate about it. But it's all out of love, I promise.
it's all I love. It's just that it's good to see people that care and they want to see a difference. There are certain people, and it's something that we have to have an understanding. There are certain people that are boots to the ground people. That is them. We have those voices. We have those that are good in media, radio. That's your other voice. You got those who could be the security voice, like, I'm protection, I'm watching over. You got those voices that could be the teaching voice. I'm gonna teach the history for that type of voice. So there's different voices you can have. You can't, like, say, if a person is a teacher or a person that does history, they're not a marching person. You got them in the wrong lane. So they should be marching with you. They should be teaching what needs to be done. If there's a person is a boots to the ground person, don't make them be a teacher, because their spirit is out there with the people, and that's what you gotta understand. It's all about, you gotta know what people are actually here for. There are boots to the ground individuals, and there's ones who are not even close to it. So don't make them that. That's the thing. So I would never want to make somebody something that they're not. Well,
That's it.
but before we go, I want you to have the floor of telling people, uh, what is your America? What do you want to see in America? What you want to see your change? And the floor is yours.
The change I want to see right now is that the voice of Black and Brown people, especially women, is no longer silenced. I want us amplified, and I want us on the forefront of change. Not to say that our white allies cannot be the face of change, but we have to be the face of change to know that that change is real. I also need to know that my parents, I want my parents to come out there. America is embracing. America is love. America is people. My America is a world where, we don't see people. We see people for who they are. And we treat each other the way they're supposed to be treated, not by the color of their skin, but like they say, the content of their character. You know, like old people say, the way your aura sits with people, how you sit with people. It's not about, we shouldn't be still striving for diversity in education and housing and in jobs. We should already be over that right now. So it's like no longer embracing. We have to be past embracing. We have to be accepting. We have to be more accepting and more embracing, because right now our differences is what's going to make us all more powerful in the end. So either which way it go, we all need each other. And that's what my America is. My America is where we all need each other, that we're there for the children, that we are uplifting each other, and that we're uplifting each other in a way that it's intentional, strategically, and it's meaningful.
Amen. Amen. And that's our America. That's her America. So, Miss Erica Cokley, when the times when November comes and you live in the district, vote for someone who wants a better America. I want a better America. If you see her on the boots on the ground, man, just give her a high five, give her a bump, fist bump. Say, I appreciate what you're doing, and I'm watching you, because that's what we have to do. We have to encourage our brothers and sisters in the fight. I got nothing against anybody in the nationality. I don't care if you're Caucasian, Hispanic, Native American, Asian. We all need you. We all need you. My brothers and sisters who don't look like me, I need you. I need you to speak up about what's really going on. I need you to make a difference. The Bible talks about love thy neighbor as thyself. So if I don't love me, then I can't love somebody else. So I want you all, if you love somebody, if you really love somebody, if you see something that's wrong, speak up about it. Don't be mute. A mute person, that means you're condoning problems. You're condoning drama. You're condoning crime. So let's make a better America today. When they say make America great again, America can be great again when everybody has an even playing field at the table. That's a great America. When you see the American dream, that means when a young African American boy or girl, Hispanic, can actually look at anything and say, you know what? I can be that one day. I don't have to sell my soul to be that, but I can actually be. It's a possibility. I could be the next doctor. I could be the senator. I could be the governor. I could be a judge. It's not about sports or entertainment. I can really be the teacher. You know what? I could be the principal. I could be the next lawyer. You know, I could see
Mhm.
myself. I could be the police officer, the fire department. See, the thing is, we're missing the big point. The community got, when you say law enforcement, and if it's predominantly one race, you got to have someone who reflects, who looks like you, who really embraces your ideal values. Do they know what it's like to be through the struggle? If they do, then they know what time is. The people will respect you. So, family, let's not hate. Let's walk in love. That's all the time I got. My name is Calvin of the Logan Power Show, nationwide, worldwide. We love you. We'll see you soon.
Thank you. All right.
All right, Miss Erica, you like it?
I do like it.
Yes, ma'am. So I will definitely do some more things, put up some YouTube thing together. I thank you. If you need anything else, let me know, and I'm always here.
Thank you very much.
All right, God bless you.
You too.
Bye now.